Hello everyone, welcome back to just another booktube channel here on the internet. My name is Anna, and as you can tell by the title of this video, I will be talking about my top 10 favorite books of all time. Now, before I even begin, I do want to say that entire trilogies are going to be in this pile because I rate books individually. So if you see an entire trilogy here, that is why. I just absolutely love these books, and if I do love them, there is a big chance of also enjoying the entire series. So that's that. I just had a cool video idea. Maybe one day I can film like a favorite books of my trilogy. That would be interesting, like kind of like rating the books inside the trilogy, but that is for another video. In this video, I will be discussing my top 10 favorite books. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So my favorite book of all time has to be The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. Listen, this book left me shook, flabbergasted, bamboozled, all of the shocks in the world because I just was never expecting what was going to happen. All of the plot twists landed for me. I just absolutely loved and adored this book. I love all of the characters. I love the found family trope that we can find in this trilogy. But this book really hit the spot for me. Like, I just absolutely love where Sanderson took the story. I love how he developed all of the characters, especially Spook, because he did have his moment in this book, which left me just so happy. He always believed that he wasn't strong enough and he didn't really belong in the group and he was useless because he wasn't a Mistborn, because he wasn't strong like all of the other people. But Sanderson really showed that you don't have to be physically strong, you don't have to be gifted in order to make a difference, and that was just absolutely heartwarming. I love all of the development with Says and the talk about religion. It just really landed for me, and obviously Vin and Ellen, still great characters, absolutely love them both, and the way that they just came into each other and accepted who they were as people, as person, it was just so beautiful to see. And obviously the story, like I said, plot twist, amazing, outstanding, all of the stakes were so high. I didn't really know how they were going to defeat Ruin, if you know what I mean, but obviously, everything was okay because, everything has to end well. And I'm glad it did because I did like the ending. And although it wasn't a happy ending because I wanted, some characters did deserve better, but it was still a fitting ending. And I just absolutely love this book and I love rereading it. I always find something new, and they are heavily annotated. I don't know if you can tell, but I have so many tabs in this book. And I know you're wondering, Anna, why are you holding two books? And that's because the Portuguese edition decided to divide the last book into two books. So this one is part 1 and the blue one is part 2. And I absolutely hate and despise when they do that. I understand they do that because of profit, because fantasy is not really, a genre that sells a lot in Portugal. So in order for them to have profit and continue publishing and translating English works, they have to divide some books so they can get more profit. But I just absolutely hate it. Like, why did you do this to me? Like, I just don't understand. I just don't like it. But yeah, like, nonetheless, this is absolutely my favorite book of all time. My second favorite book of all time has to be The Shadow Glass by Rin Chapeko. Now, if there is one thing that you need to know about me, is I absolutely love the Bone Witch trilogy. It is just one of my favorite trilogies of all times. It is a YA fantasy. It has necromancy, conspiracies, politics, just everything that you want. Romance, a little bit of romance, and it is enemy to lovers, so I know that's in fashion. And the third book is my favorite. Like, the third book, like I said, it's just full of plot twists, and I didn't know where the book was going, and I didn't read this in 2020, so if I read it now, I don't think I would be, as shocked as I was previously. But this book is just one of those books where it was just written for you, if you know what I mean. Like, I just absolutely love this book, and I can't speak too much on it because there's a lot of spoilers, but if you like a little bit of politics, some conspiracies, and, a morally gray main character, because there's a lot of questionable things in order to get to our objective, then you're absolutely going to love this book. And if you love necromancy magic, which is something that I absolutely love, you're also going to love this. This is for you. And it's just so... I know it's weird to say because the ending of this book is gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching. These characters deserved better. I wish, they got, the happy ending that they deserved. But this is just such a heartwarming and cozy trilogy for me at this point. And, oh, okay, my dog just just wanted to join us. Anyways, this is such a cozy trilogy for me now. Like, I reread this almost every year. I didn't reread this last year, which still bugs me to this day, but I first read this in 2020, and then I reread it again in 2021 and 2022. So I do have to reread this year, and I will be doing it probably in October. But yeah, this is just one of my favorite books of all time. And look at the back. Like, this is what the back says: I had no plans of living forever. Like, what? Excuse me? Like, that quote, I had no plans of living forever? Sis, like, this is so dramatic, and I absolutely love this to my heart's content. I just really want this to just be, more popular. This is such an underrated series, and please, guys, please read this. If you want to take one thing from this video, read the Bone Witch Trilogy by Rin Shapeko. You're not going to regret it. Absolutely love this. 5 out of 5 stars. At number 3, we have none other than The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. Like I said, I absolutely love the Mistborn series. I am a sucker for it. And just look at this cover. Absolutely love this cover. Like, the way that they did the colors, stunning, amazing. And in this book, I know a lot of people, it's not like a lot of people don't like it, but they like it less than The Final Empire. But I actually liked it more. The Final Empire, a lot of people describe it as, okay, let me put this down, it's heavy. A lot of people describe The Final Empire as being a heist and found family, which is absolutely true. That is such a good description. And the second book, the reason why some people didn't really like it as much was because it's a bit more politic. There's a lot more politics. It's much more political, if you know what I mean. And I absolutely love that. Like, I love political fantasies. I love when we have sieges and decisions that need to be made. And in this book, that is absolutely what we get. And we get a lot of focus on Vin and Elend as main characters. We see Elend growing to become this powerful leader because he's very soft. Like, he cares about everyone and he just wants to do what's right. But sometimes you do have to be strict. Sometimes you do have to be tough and you have to make all these decisions. And that is something that he struggles with a lot because he doesn't want to be compared to the Lord Ruler and to a dictator. And just seeing him grow into this leadership role is just stunning. It's just stunning. It's beautiful. And him having self-confidence in himself is absolutely, it's just stunning to see. And with Vin accepting that she can be feminine and she can still be an assassin, like, she can still be badass and still be ladylike and like dresses and makeup. It doesn't make her less of an assassin, if you know what I mean. She struggled with that for the whole book because she was always saying like, oh, I can't like dresses, I can't like makeup because I need to focus on being an assassin, I need to focus on protecting Elend. But you can be both. Like, it's not something that you cannot be, you know what I mean? Like, us women, we can be strong and we can also wear dresses and like makeup, just like men can be strong and soft sometimes, so I just absolutely love seeing all of the characters grow in their own way and seeing the found family and how, without a few characters, it is a little bit sad because in the first book, some people do die. I'm not going to say who, but yeah, like, I just absolutely love this book. And it's also really, really heavily annotated. I don't know if you can see, but yeah, there we go. So many tabs. And I just absolutely love this book. And look how floppy. 10 out of 10 just for the floppiness, and 10 out of 10 for the story, the characters, just everything. This is perfection. And at number 4, we have A Darkness at Sethanon by Raymond E. Feist. I don't own the book physically, which is so sad, but my boyfriend is the one that has all of the books. At the time, I read all of his books, so I just don't feel the need to own them because they are at his house, and if I want to reread them, I just ask. But this is the 4th book in the Rift War saga, and I just absolutely love this book. It was one of my first, fantasy series that I read back in 2019, which is insane, and I haven't reread it since, which honestly, crime. But I don't remember all of the details, and all of the details that I do remember are spoilers, so I really cannot mention what it is. But I just absolutely love Arutha as a character, and this book was really focused on him because he is the chosen one for a certain prophecy, and he is meant to defeat one of, I don't want to say a Dark Lord because it's not really the Dark Lord, it's a powerful minion of the Dark Lord, let's just say it like that, let's just put it like that. But I absolutely loved where the story went. I love following Arutha. He was my first ever fantasy crush. Like, he was my first ever book boyfriend because he is so perfect for me. Oh my god, it felt like he was written for me, and I just absolutely ate that book up. There is so much action, so much Arutha, which that is literally the main reason. But yeah, I just absolutely love this book. I'm so sorry that I cannot speak more because I swear all of the details that I know are spoilers. I really cannot say, but please read The Magician saga by Raymond E. Feist. You will not regret it. It's such a classical fantasy, and it does have that feel. But if you want to enter the fantasy genre, I think it's the best way to start. It is just classical. It is beautiful. It is heartwarming. It does have some horrible moments, but it is just so amazing. And in fifth place, obviously one of these books, or dare I say the entire trilogy, had to be here, which is Return of the King by J.R. Tolkien. Now listen, obviously Lord of the Rings had to be here because if you're a real fantasy fan, you have to like the Lord of the Rings. Even if you haven't read the books, you have to like the movie, because if you don't, like, what type of fantasy fan are you? You know what I mean? Just kidding. Each to their own. But I absolutely love The Lord of the Rings. And I remember when I first read it, it was a little bit difficult for me because English is not my first language. So just seeing, a lot of new words, I was just like, wow, like I do not understand anything that is going on right now. But as I got used to it, it got easier and easier. But the writing, oh my God, the writing is just so beautiful, so rich, so luscious. Like I could see all of the landscapes, everything that was happening in this book and where all of the characters were. It's just beautifully written. That is all I have to say about the books, because everyone knows the story. And obviously the third book is my favorite because this is where everything happens, the climax, all of the characters finally meet, and you just see everything go down basically. And the happy ending, it's a happy ending for everyone, I think. So yeah, like it is just one of my favorite books of all times, in fifth place, and I would highly recommend you read these books. And just like I said, would be here in sixth place, it's The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R. Tolkien. Now, just like I said before, I absolutely love these books, and I actually like the first one more than the second, which is a little bit strange for some people, but I just absolutely loved how Frodo was presented, and Sam, and just all of the gang, all of the Hobbit gang, and how all of the characters just meet, and the journey, and how they interact with each other and learn more about each other, just like the found family trope. I'm a sucker for it. What can I say? So this is obviously in sixth place, and in seventh place is The Two Towers by J.R. Tolkien. I do like this book. It is much shorter than the other two, which surprised me a bit because the second book usually tends to be a little bit longer, but just like the others, I just absolutely love this, and I do love the ends. Like the ends are my favorite part in the second book. So yeah, the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy is in this pile, and I'm proud of it. Okay, what can I say? I'm just absolutely proud, and I love it, and I wouldn't change a thing. In eighth place, this might be an actual surprise because I'm absolutely a geek for fantasy. I absolutely love fantasy. But my eighth book is actually a classic, none other than The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Now listen, this book is such a masterpiece. I absolutely love this book, and now I understand why this book is the favorite classic of many people. Like, this is just a masterpiece. Like, now I understand why this is a classic. Like, if this wasn't a classic, I would absolutely be mad. Like, international crime, if this was not a classic. Everyone should read this. I know it's a chunk of a book, but honestly, it's so worth it. Like, look at all of the tabs. So many tabs. It's not that floppy. I was the one that made it floppy because I had to break the spine in order to actually read this properly. But in this book, we follow Edmond Dantes, and he has everything going for him, like he's young, he's 19, he's about to be promoted, he's about to marry the love of his life, until a few jealous friends, which, assholes, they just decide to ruin his life. Basically, they just decide to ruin his life and take everything from him, and he's actually imprisoned for 14 years, and he promises and he swears that after those 14 years he will come back and take revenge on everyone that did him wrong. And this is such a wonderful tale of revenge because you just delve into the Paris society at the time, how reputation was everything, the looks and the materialism. You also dive into the human psyche, what people essentially do for status and reputation, how they lie, they cheat, and how they hide all of these horrible things that they do in order to just stay, in their own status, in their own position. And it's just wonderfully written. Like I said, you have to read this classic. If you don't read this, you are losing so much because this is just truly amazing. It's a masterpiece. You're not going to be bored. I know it's a long book, but I promise you're never bored because there's always something happening. You're always getting to meet new characters, and those characters are going to have a very important role at the climax. Like, no character is not important for the entire plot and the entire twist at the end, and I just absolutely loved seeing Dante ruin all of those people's lives because haters, haters are gonna hate, and Dante didn't let it go. He didn't let it slide. He said, 14 years, do you think I'm going to forget these 14 years? Never. And you know what? Absolutely stand by this man. I stand by this man, and he is a murderer and a vengeful bastard, but I stand by him. He is the love of my life, and absolutely love this man, and I would do anything for him. In fact, I would help him with his revenge. That's how much I think he was right in what he did. So please read this chunk of a book. You will not regret it. And at number 9, we have Silverthorn by Raymond E. Feist, which is the third book in the Rift War saga. And listen, I like this book just because of Arutha. Like, same reason as A Darkness at Sethanon, I just absolutely love Arutha. And Silverthorn was the first book that actually had a lot of Arutha. So absolutely loved it, ate it up, and we get to see a side of Arutha that we don't usually get to see because he's not that, he doesn't show his emotions too much, and in this one, he actually goes on a quest to save his wife because his wife is dying because she was poisoned at their own wedding, which, rude. But yeah, I just absolutely love seeing that side of Arutha, seeing how ruthless he was and what he would do for his own wife. It was just so heartwarming and also badass, you know what I mean? So ladies, if you want a good book boyfriend, stunning book boyfriend, amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, just scrumptious and delicious, read the Rift War saga by Raymond E. Feist. You're not going to regret it. Please, this man was written for me. I would die for this man. I would commit crimes for this man. If this man asked me to kill and to genocide a group of people, I would. Just kidding. Just kidding, I wouldn't, but you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean? He is just so scrumptious and delicious, and I just absolutely ate that book up. Amazing, 10 out of 10. Please read it. And finally, number 10, the last book on my top 10 list of favorite books of all time has to be Ruin by John Gwynne, the third book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, which is also the books that my boyfriend owns. So it's kind of sad that I don't have it physically here with me, especially because I would love to annotate it, but he doesn't let me annotate his books. So it's just so aggravating because I really want the copies, but I'm like, you know what? He has them. Why am I going to buy and spend money on books that I can just borrow from him? Although I cannot annotate them, I'll just have to, annotate them digitally. I just have to accept that that is the only way that I'm going to annotate those books. But I just loved where the author took the story. Once again, it feels a lot like a classic fantasy, and I would highly recommend reading this series if you love classic fantasy books. We do have the classic good versus evil, angels versus the demons, because I don't want to spoil anything too much. And I just love all of the characters that we had in the book, all of the different POVs. We have POVs that are evil, but they're not necessarily evil, you know what I mean? They are morally great characters, and that's what I loved about this book, is getting to see the perspective of these so-called evil characters and how they feel and how they viewed the world and the choices that they made and why they made those choices. And even if necessarily they discover oh, we've been tricked, this is not, I don't think we're doing the right thing, they still stick to it because they ultimately believe that what they're doing is right, or they believe that with the power that they gained and the influence that they gained, even if it was through something and through people that are not necessarily good, they can still do good from it, you know what I mean? And just seeing that perspective, it was just so cool and so amazing. And obviously I do love all of our characters. My favorite one is Makin, and I just love that 42-year-old man. Also, I do have a crush on him. Okay, it is what it is. He is just stunning, beautiful, gorgeous, and he is such a badass. When I tell you, this man could protect you. He could protect you. This is the one that you would call. I just absolutely loved his story and how it's tragic. It's a very tragic story because he does end up losing everything that he loves, and he did deserve better in my opinion, but the way that his story ended was really, really beautiful. His story ended in such a beautiful way in Wrath, not in Ruin, not in this book. But the reason why I love this book so much was because of everything that you just found out and how it ended. I was just so shocked because I didn't know that the author was going to take the story that way, and I was just oh my god, what's gonna happen now? I had to read Wrath immediately, you know what I mean? And it's just so good. Please read this series because you have the good guys' perspective and the bad guys' perspectives, and it's just so good, and it's just so cool when a book does that because you just get to see everyone's perspective and how, sometimes the bad guys are not that evil, or they are evil and they are doing horrible things, but they believe it's right, and it's just always so interesting. So please read the Faithful and the Fallen series. You're not going to regret it. It is just amazing. And if you want me to sell it more, it has a dog. Okay, it has, a wolfhound to be more precise, but it has an animal companion, and who doesn't like a big fluffy animal companion? So I don't know what to say. Like, that is the best selling point that this book has. Seriously. And that is it, guys. These are my top 10 favorite books of all time. And I just absolutely love this stack. I love every single book. And I just love how different they are from each other and how some are similar. I love every single one of them with my whole heart. And I would highly recommend all of them. All of these standalones, books, classics, series. Please read all of them. And if you have some in your TBR, please move them just a little bit higher. You know, give them a little bit of extra priority because they are just the creme de la creme, if you will. They are just stunning, beautiful, amazing, you know, exciting, you know, just chef kiss, in my opinion, at least. You know, if it counts for anything, in my opinion, these books are just stunning. And I would highly, highly recommend all of these books, especially if you are a fantasy fan, because I just know that you guys are going to love it. And that's it for this video, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.